Greetings. The topic is what to do when your husband is seeing another woman. And this is a little bit complex. I'm going to try to answer. It's only complex because there's some variables. For instance, is he aware that you're aware that he's seeing another woman? That makes a difference. Is it private? Is he flaunting it? There's a lot going into this. So what you should not do, let's start there. You should not confront him. And I know this runs contrary to what virtually everyone else says, but I've seen confrontation in action. I've been doing this for over 22 years, and before that I was a divorce mediator. And I could tell you that even though in divorce mediation everyone is supposed to be civil, as soon as confrontation comes into the situation, it creates defensiveness and it bounces back and forth until it's World War bam. So always just don't say anything. Do not say anything. If he brings it up, then your question should be very different. Like, what should I do if my husband tells me that he's having an affair? So, what is the most important takeaway here, by far, and I don't mean to like oversimplify this and reduce it down to the lowest common denominator to where you can't do anything, but you got to get that there is a message here. As much as it hurts, as much as your mind is going to put up a wall, when I tell you this, don't go there, because I can really help you. This is what we do here. We've been helping thousands and thousands of people with their marriages, and believe it or not, most of the women who come to us, who take our course, are suffering from this, that their husband is with someone else in one form or another. It could be as mild as texting someone that they found online, and trust me, they looked if they found someone online, all the way to we've worked with people where it's out in the open. The husband is having an affair. It's a friend of the family. We've even seen sisters involved in this. We've seen it all. And I'm telling you right now, confrontation, just take it off the table. It is going to, unless you want to get a divorce. If you want a divorce, do your thing. Well, that's not what we're for. We're here to help you save your marriage and then transform it into a marriage that is the marriage you wanted when you first got married. Your ideas, subconscious as they were, of the happiness, the love, the harmony. That's why we get married. So we don't confront. Don't do that. Also, what you want to do is recognize, and this is the part that is difficult to swallow, but your marriage has not been working. When he's seeing another woman, this is his way of either moving towards a divorce, or if he has children or wants to keep the marriage anyway, moving towards what for him is and I'm going to use this word, it's a strong word, but a tolerable situation. Remember, he got married too with the same desires for happiness, love, and harmony. That's why we get married. So your marriage started falling apart a long time ago. Please don't tell me, no, my marriage was great. I just found this out. I don't hit me from left field. If that is the case, and it does happen, it's because you chose to not to pay attention to the clear signs. But now that you know, see it differently than as an affront to you. See it differently than as a intentional snub, as a way of him getting back at you. Don't take those positions. Take this position. I'm going to spell it out real clearly. Take it as a wake-up call. Don't try to analyze what you have done wrong. I can go down a list of all the things that everyone does wrong. It's pretty much universal. You're not doing something especially wrong. And part of that, and none of this is your fault. You see, we don't learn how to be married. So what happens? We get married, and because of what we see in the movies, what we see on television, in the sitcoms, and basically everywhere around us, we think that there's a lot of things that are okay in a marriage that are not. I'll give you an example. Arguing. There's even videos out there about the right way to argue. Isn't that true? And you know what? There is no right way to argue. There's an old saying, fools argue, wise men discuss. But it goes much deeper than that, because that's starting at a even plane. But you're married. Your intention was to increase your happiness, increase the love and harmony. So arguing should be completely off the table. There should be no arguments. There are ways to communicate with your husband that transcend all normal and usual relationships, from business relationships to relationships you have with teachers, with associates. Those normal relationships, sometimes an argument comes up. And it shouldn't. I'll be very honest with you. There's always a better way than an argument, but they come up. What they don't do, those arguments, is they don't completely shift the direction that you wanted, like in your marriage. In your marriage, the direction you wanted and still want, happiness, love, and harmony. You could write those down. Those should be the pole stars for your marriage. And here you are arguing. So that's like a normal thing in marriage. And it should be off the table. You should never argue. Being critical of each other. Never. Never. You don't criticize someone. When you were dating, you never did. Because you know that pushes him away. And he never criticized you. Complaining. We just don't do that in a good marriage. See, we're not taught about marriage, and this is why it's not really your fault. So here you are now, and you're probably thinking, is this the end of my marriage? It could be, if you so choose it to be. And it doesn't have to be. And again, all the people who I helped get a divorce, again, it's over 22 years ago, but still, none of them should have gotten a divorce. They should have remained happily married by getting proper education. But they came to me after they went to psychologists, to couples counseling, to marriage therapy and all that. In fact, the psychologists are my friends. They would send me business. I still respect them, don't get me wrong, because their intention is good. But they don't understand marriage either. They don't. Marriage is simple, but it's simple the way an engine is simple. You're probably going, engines aren't simple. They actually are, but the complexity of how many moving parts and how they're put together is what makes it difficult for someone to just go out and build an engine. But a marriage is simple, especially when you think about its purpose, and you have all of the innate tools to make it amazing. So my thing is this, and this is what we do at the Marriage Foundation. We go, look, you screwed up. Your husband screwed up. Both of you screwed up. And now you're in the place where one of you is out having an affair, and the other of you, who knows what you're doing or nothing, which is just as bad, believe it or not. And now's the time for you, as the individual, because you're the one coming for help. You as the individual have all the power that you need to completely transform your marriage for both of you. This is a truth that we know to be truthful, to be a reality. And we have 22 years of proof. Take a look at all of our testimonials. Take a look at what people say. And I know it's not normal, but the world's a mess, isn't it? And so marriages are messed because people don't know. So what we do with the courses, and this is not an infomercial, but you have to learn somewhere. And at this stage, when your marriage is now sliding towards divorce because he's doing something that you just can't kind of turn around a little bit, now is the time for you to be radical about getting educated. You need the course for women about getting educated as you're pulled out of the cycle that you're in, as you're pulled out of the mindset. It's sort of like a two-pronged approach. So we can help you. That is for sure. We can help you. So don't confront him. Hold off. Don't argue with him anymore. Don't complain to him anymore. Don't criticize him anymore. And you're going, ugh, but, well, let us teach you how and why, what to do, to replace these past behaviors that are bad behaviors with positive, good ones. Let us help you see clearly what is possible. I already know what is possible. And our counselors, our TMF marriage counselors, know what's possible too. It's up to you to find out for yourself or get a divorce. Those are your two options, really. You don't want to be in this place of this twilight zone for months and years. Do something about it now. So hopefully this has helped you. If it has, like the video, subscribe so you can learn more and more about marriage, because I'm sure there's things that you've picked up now that you never thought of before. This is always what happens to us. I remember one time, before we came online, I worked with people for about 8 years. And then it gave time to fashion the system that we have. And one time it was kind of amazing. So I am not a therapist. And so I had a table. I had my whiteboard. And the meetings were kind of didactic. I would let them tell me what's going on, but keep it brief. I don't want to hear about your childhood. It doesn't matter. I don't want to hear about your traumas. It doesn't matter. And one time I was meeting with a psych nurse and her husband. And I asked her, why, every psychologist in San Diego, that's where I had my practice. I said, why aren't you using, and she goes, they're all crazy. And I've heard about you. And that's why we're here. Okay, great. So I'm meeting with her and her husband. Her husband was probably the most massive guys I've ever seen in my life. He was a construction guy. He was huge. He was scary, I'll be honest with you. You picture this guy on a Harley Davidson, and, okay, so what? Didn't matter. He's a human being. I'm going to help them with their marriage. And I'm starting to explain about how they got into the predicament that they're now in, how they got in the situation. Again, it goes back to complaining, criticizing, all that stuff. And he starts turning a little bit red, and his breathing changes. And then he lifts up his fist, and I am petrified. And he pounds on the table, and he goes, we just learned more in 20 minutes than we learned from any of those quacks we saw for months. So she said that they didn't see any, but really what happened was that they didn't help them. They were already separated, moved out from each other. They ended up moving back in and did fine. When you know how to run your marriage, it all works. And it works in ways that blow your mind. Because a marriage is designed. Yeah, I use that word, design, because I do believe in God, and I do believe He designed marriages. He designed marriages for us to be happy. It's a loving God. Why would he make a marriage to make us miserable? Don't we have enough misery that we cause ourselves in the world? And when we know how, it's phenomenal. Off the charts happiness. So that's the message. You can change it all without even getting your husband involved in it. And your marriage then will blow your mind. You'll have so much happiness for the rest of your life. We don't just, it's like learning to drive a car. Once you know how to drive a car, you know. And that's about it. Again, I'm Paul Friedman. I founded the Marriage Foundation. We're here for you. Hopefully you'll like the video, leave a comment, subscribe, and tell your friends. And also, if you're a therapist and you stumbled on us, and a lot of therapists actually follow because, they really haven't learned how, you can become a TMF marriage counselor. We invite you to take a look at it and become one. So God bless you, and thank you, and take care.